Ireland's beauty is often laid bare to the whims of the North Atlantic climate. Lush pastures and blazing gorse lashed on windswept hills. Shorelines pounded by headstrong seas as winds careen along the western coast. Bays bedevilled to froth and spray. But while the coastal weather may at times carry a chilling bite, to understand the warmth of Ireland's legendary hospitality, we need only step inside the door of a traditional Irish pub.
We're open every day, all day, every day. It's here for the community. If someone wants a drink, they'll get a drink here.
The pub, for me, provides a service in that sense, really. People can come here, they get the warmth of the fire, they can sit round, they can listen to music, watch the television if they want to, or chat away, whatever they want to do, really, and stay as long as they like.
On this day, a near gale whips north along the west coast of Ireland and slams headlong into Achill Island, waves rising in frantic rhythm to crash ashore again and again. Shredded by the headland and Achill Beg, it howls northwest up the coast, then inland across the peaks of Knockmore and Minane. To the east, it sweeps up the Sound, bottlenecked at Bull's Mouth as the rising tide comes in from the North Atlantic, racing through sheets of rain. It cascades down the mountainside, sweeps through ancient tower houses and monasteries, across burial grounds and graveyards. Stately monuments stand above nameless headstones in silent memorial as wind and weather toil endlessly to scour their etched names from time.
We're sticking way out into the Atlantic, and it's the North Atlantic. The remoteness of the place, now that can drive some people mad.
John Barrett lives at the end of Kiel Strand, overlooking the bay, where he and his wife Elizabeth own and run the Bervie House bed and breakfast.
The winters are majestic, wet but majestic. High seas, pounding off the rocks outside your door. It's nice to be inside with a hot whiskey and watching it, as long as it's not going to come in on top of you. It's wild and windy during the winter and absolutely beautiful during the springtime and summertime. We're used to the wind. We wouldn't know what to do without the wind here in Achill. Keeps us fresh, keeps the cobwebs away.
On a calmer day, the wind strength fades as it meanders up the eastern coast of the island and into Achill Sound. By the time it reaches the bridge across to the mainland at West Mayo, all its fury is gone, able only to drift softly up to the main road. On that road, McLoughlin's Bar, a generations-old traditional Irish pub, welcomes patrons in with the breeze.
I'm Joseph McLoughlin from Achill Sound, a publican. Publican since the last 35 years. Born in this public house and brought up with the public house all my life, so that's who I am now. Serving the customers here since I was 9 or 10 years of age, I'd say.
Josie McLoughlin's family has owned the pub, as well as the hardware store before that, since his great-grandfather built it around 1870. My
grandfather was McLoughlin from Belfarset. My grandmother was Catherine Gallagher from Drogheda. All my father's family were born here. And my father eventually took it over then.
I mean, Josie was born into it, you know, he was born in this building. So for me, he is, in the true essence of the word, he's a publican.
Jackie Memory is Josie's partner in life and the bar. A retired nurse, her earliest working experiences at McLoughlin's may have left some doubts about a life centred around the pub.
She used to come before she retired. The first night she worked was St. Stephen's night, Boxing Day night, you know, after Christmas Day. And she had a long day that day and a hard day, and she said, oh my God, I can't do this. But she got over the initial shock anyway, and she's still here.
We complement each other. We work slightly differently, but we do work very, very closely together. Josie is the publican. I'm, as I say, a helper. So I do all sorts of different things around the pub, ranging from pulling pints at the bar, to listening to people, to first aid, to stock rotation, just about everything really. Working in the beer garden, literally all the jobs that need to be done, I'm actually, doing here in the pub. I wouldn't change it, I wouldn't swap it for anything else, In fact, it's weird now. I feel like I've been doing it for a lifetime.
In Josie's case, he really has been in the pub a lifetime.
I'd say I was still in the national school when I started pulling pints first. We did our chores as well. I know when I was in the national school, we used to stables at the back there with 2 cows. My mother used to milk them every morning before daylight nearly. Like she'd be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, every morning.
Life around the pub has changed over the decades, but the hours remain long and the work non-stop.
When you're married to it, that's it. If you don't look after it, it won't be there, that's the way it is,
The most challenging part, I think, is the hours that probably go into making the pub work and work well. Because it's not a 9 to 5 job.
Jackie usually would be up in the morning and I'd be the one to close the bar.
And I'm the early bird. Being a nurse, I'm used to getting up early.
Yeah, Jackie would be up at 9 o'clock, have the place ready for 10 o'clock, fires on.
It just becomes a different way of life. Your life is sort of round the pub, whereas when I was nursing, I'd go to work, do my work, and I knew that I was going to get some downtime. Whereas here, you don't really get that.
You're working then until closing time was 12:30, 1 o'clock. Could be by the time you clean up and everything till's done. Could be 2 o'clock, sometimes later.
It's harder and harder to run a rural pub. It's not easy. And like I say, your background has to be in it, I think, and your heart has to be in it. Your soul is in it. Every breath you take is in a pub.
And all my life I will remember.
Besides the main bar, used for trad music and small groups, there's a back lounge where bands play on weekends, and a beer garden in the back for barbecues, parties and celebrations.
Anyone wants to have a party out there, they're more than welcome.
For them to come here, and particularly in the winter months where it's long, the days are dark, the hours are shorter, the day is shorter, they'll come out, as I say, and have a couple of hours here maybe, chat away, play cards, play darts, so there's a lot of interaction going on there. Have a bit of fun.
This time of year now, I've just started a darts competition. That's actually going 30 years this year. There's some good dart throws on the island.
It's a focal point for people to meet together, whether that be for a pint or a chat or even a cup of coffee.
Fire is the main part of this bar. It's going nearly all year round. When you walk in, you feel the heat and you feel relaxed and you sit down, you say, this is a nice place to have a pint.
How are you, Josie? How are you doing? It's good to see you again now, yeah, that's true, yeah.
Where are you keeping yourself?
Francis Shepherd, a local from the neighbouring island of Inishbiggle, feels at home here.
Well, they usually have a nice fire there, and he's a nice man, and they're like family. It's like you go in for a drink there, and it's like going into your own house, basically.
In fact, Francis burns a turf fire in his own rustic home on Inishbiggle.
The turf fire is fantastic. It's just without a fire in the house. There's no cheer, there's nothing.
Francis maintains a philosophy of living with nature in his day-to-day activities, including the way he heats his home and cooks with turf cut from the bogs on the island.
Turf it's like been there for thousands of years. It's old rotted matter. It's something like coal, but coal is a lot older, that's all.
Most of the turf nowadays is cut by machine, but I'd say there are probably a couple of dozen men on the island who still like to do it with what we call a shlane.
You take the top off, the heather off the top, and you get a slane and you just throw out the sods and throw them out, and then they dry, and when they're drying a bit, you just heat them up into like pyramid shapes. They call that a footy. Oh, well, I use the fire for cooking almost every day. I'll fry steak, or I'll cook maybe omelettes or something like that on the fire. Or I put the kettle on the fire to heat it up.
With no bridge to either the mainland or Achill Island, and little reason for anyone to go there other than the 18 or 20 souls huddled together on just more than a square mile of land, Inishbiggle seems a remote outpost well away from the clamour and comforts of civility. However, once in the confines of Francis Shepherd's rustic home, such thoughts flee, lost in the simple grace of Francis's quiet spirit.
This is my house where I've lived here since 1976, and it used to be a school, and my uncle and my mother were the last pupils, and that's about 1920s, end of the 20s. When I came to live here on the island, there'd be about 100 people, I'd say. There'd be about 20 or so pupils in the school.
That latter-day schoolhouse has been closed for some 20 years.
You know, the school is used for meetings, and the doctor comes every 3 weeks. The post office is closed for several years, and that was like it was a community place where people would meet and they'd go and get their pension or post their letters. And on a Friday, you'd have a lot of crack on Fridays, and we used to be able to get bread, and she'd bring in a few things, milk and a few things like that.
For supplies, posts and pension nowadays, Francis must make his way across Bull's Mouth to Achill Island. He's dependent upon Captain Joe O'Malley to navigate one of the more dangerous channels in Europe in a traditional Irish fishing boat called a curragh.
Achill's side is 400 yards across from Bull's Mouth. Now that's kind of a rough current, but most days you can get across at some time.
If you go over by curragh, it means you've got to go downstream and then upstream on the opposite bank. Very hard, quite dangerous, but they're adept at it.
You know, going on sea harden the people to certain risks in life, and they respect the sea and they respect life, which is something that I like. In Ireland generally, that was the country way. And here it's country with the sea. It's just rural and by the sea, that's all, just surrounded by the sea. It's just nature, and it's just you're at one with nature. That's the simple thing. And the people have a good attitude. They care about animals and they care about the environment.
Some of Francis's days are spent walking with a feline squatter he calls Meerkat, named for the way he used to jump up on his back paws when he first wandered in.
And he's kind of a character then. Oh, if I go down to get a bag of turf, or if I do going down the road even, he wants to go with me. So, just to please him, I'll let him come with me. He's a bit bossy, and if he doesn't get his own way, he'll go and jump on me and bite me in the leg.
Other days he goes to the strand during low tide and hunts for periwinkles. He sells these to a local merchant who ships them off to France, where they are considered a delicacy.
It's the same as a snail, basically, with a shell on. It's they're mollusks. Mollusks, yeah, well, I wouldn't eat them, but the French eat them. He doesn't come out of his shell, there's like a lid and he breathes in the water. They have lungs. Then when the tide is coming in, I'll come home.
He may also take time to explore an island that still holds surprises for him.
There's places I haven't been on. And I've been around the island a lot, but there's new places that might be some little place I haven't been to. It's just a day when there's a nice breeze in it. You're just happy to be alive.
The solitude is something he embraces.
Everyone gets lonely at times. I'd be lonely in the city. You can be very lonely in the city if you don't know anybody. Everyone around here, I know them. My favourite things about living on the island are just the calmness and the tranquility. I'm kind of a free spirit.
Achill Island has its own charms and draws. It is 57 square miles, with acres of bogland separating majestic mountains, wild coastlines, soaring cliffs, and a plethora of plant, animal, and marine life.
We depend very much on the Gulf Stream coming up from Mexico for our good weather, if you like. It keeps the climate here quite mild insofar as that we rarely get snow and we even rarely get frost. We get a lot of plant life growing here that would actually grow in the Mediterranean. And during the summer you will get a lot of Mediterranean fish life making its way up along the west coast.
Achill's landscapes can be exhilarating. The island's secrets bared from atop Slievemore, Minnan or Knockmore.
You get a fantastic panoramic view of the whole island right onto the mainland, up into North Mayo and the Inishbiggle Islands. From Wychoiga Head you can walk due north-northwest up along the highest cliffs in Europe. You can keep along that ridge and it brings you down then at Armagh, which is a corrie lake and possibly one of the few corrie lakes in the world that are at sea level, and absolutely beautiful place, so peaceful. But we live here looking out on the Minnan cliffs and out onto the bay, and across the bay is Knockmore. You look out there once on any kind of a day and you just want to live here.
Just north and inland from Keel Bay sprawls a row of tumbled one-room stone houses. Whispers of memories past and a life forgotten rustle faintly among wind gusts and the bleat of wandering sheep. Ghosts of old Ireland seem to haunt the edge of vision here at the foot of Slievemore.
The deserted village, it contains 90 derelict houses. It's a linear village and one of the last transhumance villages. Transhumance is where people move from one area to another during the summer to graze their cattle.
The signature landscape on Achill, however, is Slievemore Mountain.
It kind of looks after us all. It dominates pretty much the whole island. It's revered, but not as a holy place. It's just, I think its conical shape is just very attractive, and at certain times of the year it turns this what we call a Paul Henry blue. Paul Henry was a famous artist who lived here from 1910 onwards, on and off for many years up until about 1919. We have about 150 artists either living on the island or visiting every summer. The place is an artist's paradise, there's no doubt about it. Most artists in Ireland and England have to come to, at some stage, to paint here. It's a challenge. There's a freshness in the air and there's a freshness about the colour of the place. That is really what attracts the artist and nowadays photographers. The light here is constantly changing and you get heavy cloud banks in the middle of the most beautiful day of sunshine. So you get shadows being cast left, right and centre.
As finicky as the light may be, the wind is just as likely to undergo rapid sea changes. Some days break sunny and sweet, a sheepish breeze drifting across the island. It can blow mildly off the Sound and up the main road from the bridge, where McLoughlin's bar is just a glorious stroll away.
There's a plethora of people that come in here. I mean, we've got, you can have, you know, the age spectrum is from 18, maybe a little bit younger even, but they're obviously not drinking, but the 18-year-olds right through to your 90-year-olds, you know, and man, woman, you know, we sort of sex of people obviously is not an issue, obviously, that come into the pub. So it's a varied age group, really, you know, and again, they've all got something different to offer.
Some patrons will sit in the pub and freely share their stories with Josie and Jackie, or with friends, offering a tacit invitation to share their lives, their passions, or just an anecdote. Others are very shy, protective of their privacy, wanting nothing of such exposure. Regardless, Josie is intent on providing the comforts of home.
Nice atmosphere, staff or the owners, you know, friendly and be able to make people welcome.
Great crack, and there was the sons and the family, all very nice people.
Anything I hear is confidential, and it's, you know, I would never talk about anybody, I'd never run down anybody. That was the way I was brought up by my parents, you know.
On many evenings it's a quiet bar. Calm crowds sit in contented conversation as the strains of local musicians steep the room.
You know, the good fire and good drink, and you know, music is good too. You know, the traditional music.
But while music and a good pint are important, the traditional pub has inherent purpose in Irish history.
The pub is the social hub of rural Ireland.
Pubs were the centre of the village. It was where everybody met. It was where, how would I say, village decisions were made, the meetings were held. Nowadays, the pub has become less central to people's lives than it was.
There's not as many people going to pubs now. It's kind of dying out. There's not the hard. One time we'd go into Connaughton's or in any pub in the Sound or anywhere in rural Ireland, and it'd be packed. You'd have a job to get a drink. But nowadays there's not many people in the pubs. It's as simple as that.
For Josie, it is far different times from when he took over in 1983.
The drinking trends have changed, and you know, the smoking ban, I suppose, was maybe the start of decline of pubs. Even though I'm glad it came in, you know, but the drink driving got very serious on that now. You know,
the problem is the policies were made by government ministers who were city dwellers really, and just didn't have an understanding of rural life and the social life of people living in rural areas. So you have an older generation there that are missing out on their social life. They can't go to the pub in the evening for their pint or two and have a cigarette and a bit of a chat and meet up with the neighbours.
And if I could change something, I would certainly change that about the island. I'd put a better service on the island so that the elderly could get out more.
So now those people are isolated, quite a few of them.
I mean, John O'Donnell was in this morning. He's a real character. You know, he comes in, and I can set my clock by him. 11 o'clock every Friday morning, Jod comes in. He comes through that door and he'll have his Guinness and his whiskies, you know, before his daughters come for him. Because again, he's you know, dependent on the daughter. She comes down, does the shopping, gets his pension maybe, and he'll come in here, have a bit of a chat with us, and then a bit of banter with Josie.
That's very important, you know, because that's what people come for. Like, to come to, you know, family-run pubs, and you have to be there.
There's no substitute for the person who owns that pub. It's as simple as that. They are the pub, and his heart is truly, truly in the business. You know, it's here, and he puts everybody right. He's what people come into this pub for. That's what it's about at the end of the day. The bricks and mortar are here, but the cement, what holds it together, is the person, is the publican. That's it. Without that, there's no pub, you know.
I like it when it's busy, when the music is on, you know, especially when they've good music and people are enjoying themselves, and you know, that to say a great night, thanks very much, you know, that's the way I like to. People go out the door happy, and you know, that they've enjoyed their stay here. You know.
So I think the publican, or the word publican, as I say, the true essence of it for me is the fact that, you know, Josie's fourth generation, you know, his mom before, family before, and so on and so forth. The pub's been going since 1870. You know, he's here. This is it. This is Josie's pub. There's only one McLoughlin's, you know, as far as I'm concerned. This is the pub. I'd like to see the pub, you know, going as long as we're here, myself and Josie, so for our lifetime, certainly. And then, you know, who knows what the future brings. And Josie has got good children, you know, he's got a great family. Now, whether one of them will take the pub on, it would be lovely if they did, it really, really would. But I don't think you can put that onus on somebody.
Well, as I said, I'd like to think one of them would take it over, and then again, with the way things are going with pubs, it's not an easy life anymore, you know.
It'd be lovely to see it here in another 100 years. Look down from heaven and say, oh my God, it's still going. It would be fantastic. So that's what I would like to see. I'd love to see the pub still going strong in another 100 years. But we'll have to wait and see. And I won't be here to see it anyway, apart from, as I say, up there looking down. I'll be in pub heaven, if there's such a place.
I hope there's such a place.
I do. We're all going. We're all going.
That's pretty good.
A single road leads to Achill, itself a lush outcropping of tenacious life. The island juts into the shallow edge of the sea in defiance of the raw assault from Mother Nature. Cliffs gird the eastern forearm of the island, a shield for its inhabitants against the sea's impersonal onslaught. The greedy fingers of the Atlantic winds claw at mountain, bog and stone alike. But this is the hammer that has forged the hardy souls of Achill Island. And whether one arrives by bridge or boat, it is but a short stroll down the road towards McLoughlin's bar, where the door is always open and the pub is ready to serve a proper pint.
Just around here.